Hey guys, Mauro here. I wanted to go to do a little presentation that I prepared like really quickly. It's nothing fancy, so it's just on the one-handed backhand. I've been having people asking me a lot of information, giving a lot of questions and asking for stuff about it. And there's been like a couple of things or tips that I think that are very important. I want to do a court um, video on the one-handed backhand, but I wanted to show this one first so I can just kind of pinpoint the ideas that I'm having that are like crucial to make good contact with the ball and contact it and generate power and all that. So okay, well let's go and start with it. First thing that we're going to go through is that I'm just going to give you some pointers with the pictures, and then we'll show a video of Shapovalov, which is I I flip the video horizontally, so he's gonna be like, even though he's a lefty, he's gonna look like he's hitting that backhand like being a righty. So, but anyways, the first thing I wanted to show you is, um, let's talk about this thing. First thing on the presentation that we're gonna see is that when he brings the racket back, you're gonna see that racket standing here. That's super important to generate that flip that is gonna give you power. He breaks the wrist. He does that thing with that Wawrinka does and Federer does, and a lot of all good one-handed backhand players. That is one of the keys that I think for modern backhand that can really improve your backhand. That's one of the things that really helped mine. So that's the first thing that I think one of the things that I think that you should really pay attention to, if you wanna improve that backhand. He has a good coil and uncoil. He turns. If you see this step, that's what I call the crossover. The crossover is when you step, you don't have the foot aligned forward. The right foot is gonna cross over the left foot, and that's gonna give you the good coil and uncoil. And obviously, as you can tell, because of the position of his knees, he's already working in a good loading and unloading, which is vital because that's gonna help you um, with the legs, which is you're gonna be able to hit the ball harder if you really pay attention to that. So once we mention that, let's move um, to the. Oh well, I guess let's watch. Let me see. Let's watch the video and work a little bit on that. So that's the coil. Let's move to the next shot he hits, because he's gonna move a little bit to the left, and it's gonna be easier to watch there. It's a better location right there. Okay, so that's, look at the racket, look at the crossover here and the good on coil. He's got that head. He's looking at that ball over his shoulder, which is something that is gonna let you know. If you wanna know if you're making a good call, if you're turning enough on the forehand or the backhand, you have to be looking at the ball either on the forehand or the backhand over your shoulder. If you're kind of open on either side, that means that you're not really turning enough. You're simply put, if you don't have a good coil and uncoil, you're not using the core of your body. You're not using the strongest muscle that you have. Okay, so that's one thing that you really wanna pay attention to. So again, he's getting the racket ready. The elbow up is helping him keep that racket there. You can tell that. I mean, it's not very clear the image. Sorry about that, but you can tell that he's got that wrist breaking it, and that really helps to keep that racket in good position when you hit the ball. Even for us one-handed backhand players, that we might struggle a little bit with the balls that come kind of low. That helps a lot also. But of course, you have to do the work. You still have to do the footwork part. So once we are within that part, let's move to the next. Okay, let's see this. Oops, sorry. So he's got the racket face open. If you the racket, when you bring it back, you really want to pay attention that when you bring that racket back, in the past we will close the racket more. Having that racket open also helps make good contact, cleaner contact, mean hitting that ball clean, centering the strings. So you wanna pay attention to that, having that racket open. The counterbalance arm, the counterbalance arm which is in this case, in the video here, even though he's a lefty and I fix it so it looks like it's his left arm here. That counterbalance arm keeps the racket and the arm angle. This is what I'm talking about. This is the counterbalance arm. The angle here, this is a good sharp angle, and this is the one that is helping you keep that sharp angle all the way till you release at the very last moment to hit the ball. In this case, if the ball is a little low, you want to spread the legs. Even if the ball, even in a regular ball that comes, let's say at stomach height or even chest height, you want to keep your legs at least at shoulder width separated. If you, I would say go a little more, because if you spread the legs a little more, it's easier to go down, to do the load and unload working with the legs. So once we are there, let's see. Yeah, spread the legs to facilitate unloading and to get low easily. If your legs are together, you're gonna have a hard time getting low. If your legs are a little more separated, it's super easy to get down. So you really wanna pay attention to that. And let's move on. So he's about to hit here. That's the part that I'm saying. The good angle, the racket pointing up. He's starting to he's ready to unlock because he's about to pull the trigger. Let's just move on to the next tip, and then I'll play the whole video. Racket strings face the back fence. The racket is gonna get all the way back and look at the angle again. You break the wrist, and you really want to have that angle, arm and racket angle. That is, I cannot emphasize enough to tell you how important it is that you have a good arm and racket angle. It makes it easier to lead with the butt cap, and it makes it easier to hit that ball. When you hit that ball, instead of hitting that ball with the racket opening too early and then hit, which is what makes a lot of us sometimes mid hit. No, when you come at an angle, the strings coming at an angle towards the ball, you always make cleaner, nicer contact. So you wanna pay attention to that. Okay, let's move to the next. Okay, counterbalance hand releases racket at the very last moment. This one. So if you notice that counterbalance hand comes all the way to his left pocket, and then it releases at the last moment, and when you release, it's starting to lead with the butt cap, and the face of the racket is pointing down. That face of the racket can be really pointing down. I wouldn't suggest to be completely down, but if it's a little bit, let's say like halfway, give or take, that's pretty much, that's good. That's perfect. But you definitely don't want to have that racket standing in this position. You want to close a racket a little bit when it's lagging, when you just released it. Yeah, racket counterbalance hand releases racket at the very last moment to keep sharp angle, and also it helps you keep control. For a long time I struggle mishitting a lot of shots because I would release too early, and the moment that I just started releasing a little later, meaning that I probably just keep my left hand on the racket for a few inches more, all the way to the left pocket, and release there, I just couldn't believe how much better control, how much easier it was to hit that ball perfectly centered in the string. So those are one of the little details that really make a difference. Holding that racket a little longer, lagging the racket, also, starting with breaking the wrist and the racket pointing up. Those are little things of the new or modern one-handed backhand that have really improved my backhand. And with people that I've been teaching that have one-handed backhand, there's a lot of them are people that grew up like me, and it's hard for them to believe how much just little details can really improve the ground stroke. Let's move on to the next one. Let's see. At contact, grip in front of the body, Yeah, the strike zone. If you notice his grip, well, in the position that we're seeing it, we cannot really tell how far, how separated from the body is the grip. But I will show you in a picture at the end. But there is not much separation, because the more you extend that arm to the side, trying to hit, the weaker your contact is gonna be. Transfer weight to the front leg, chest, and right foot pointing towards net post. That's so important. The chest and the right foot pointing towards the net post, because sometimes people have this foot more pointing towards the net, and that's gonna make you open all the way too early sometimes, and you start slapping. And also because he spread the legs, it has good knees bend to facilitate the load and the upload. Okay, let's move on to the next tip here. This is the last one. Okay, this is a counterbalance. Counterbalance with the left arm. You finish your swing all the way around. Sometimes people don't bring it all the way when they swing. They don't finish all the way around. They stop kind of in front of them, kind of short. So you wanna, especially if you wanna make sure you wanna put a spin on that ball, you wanna make sure that you finish. Bring that racket all the way around you. Okay. When you uncoil, the uncoiling starts with the hips. It's gonna start with the hips. It stops at contact. The hips are not gonna keep going after contact. They stop, and what keeps going is the upper body with the arm and the shoulders. It just feels naturally turning, but you don't end up pointing and facing completely open, like open stance pointing towards the net. You're gonna end up also, turning kind of towards the net post. So you're not completely open at the end. And it says on call starts with hips, stops at contact, and continues with upper body, arms and shoulder. And let's just go. Let's move to the video. So if you notice, you're gonna notice here. Let's go back. Here we go. So he's had a good coil, swinging all the way around. He leans on that foot in the front. He transferred the weight and swing. He swings. He's almost all the. It's like he steps. Look. Ready. Let's wait for the next one. Okay, he's gonna lean the weight transfer. There. See, this foot is barely touching the ground. It's just working as an anchor, just so when he hits, he doesn't come around and opens his body crazy. When you lean forward and you focus on on putting your weight on the right leg and the front leg, you're gonna notice how much power and how much balance you can have. It's so much easier to have control and hit the ball clean, because your lower body isn't going crazy. So it's easier to hit that ball center in the strings instead of hitting all over the place. So I really suggest you focus on that. So he starts with a good turn, rack it up, breaking the wrist, contact well in front of him. If you notice, he makes contact well in front of him. And when you turn, when you move up, when you move to the side, see, he finishes a little bit more facing the side. You don't have to hit that ball and still try to open as much as you do hitting a ball that is more towards the middle of the court. And I just wanted to tell really quick about how do you find your strike zone. Usually the strike zone is gonna be when you're sideways. That strike zone is gonna be almost in front of your hips, your grip, the grip of your racket. So you have that arm fully extended forward, as you're gonna see in the pictures here. Let's say Wawrinka is one of the guys that he doesn't keep that grip as much in front of him. But if you notice the separation between his body, let's say the stomach or the hips and the butt cap, it's inches. It's not a lot, So that means that allows him to have a good grip. That means that you're gonna have you can have your hand behind the grip. You hold that racket steady, and it's easier to make even if the ball comes heavy with spin or hard. You have a good position of your hand behind the grip, so you can hit that ball really nice and clean. Okay, let's move to the next one. This is Guga Kurten. For those of you that don't know who Guga Kurten is, he got to be number one in the world. He was from Brazil, and he won the French Open several times. This is what I mean. If you notice, his butt cap is right in front of his body. So look, the arm is almost extended forward. So he has good support behind the grip to make contact. That's when I found out about that, and I started moving my strike zone to bring my arm more in front of me and making contact there. It's amazing. It's just amazing how easier it is to control pretty much anything that they throw at you. Okay, let's move to the next one. Okay, this is Dominic Thiem. Again, if you notice, his hand well in front of him. The grip is right in front of his body, and again, he's got a good angle at the moment he makes contact. Just like Kurten, you know, they have a good angle with the racket and the arm in front of them. So that just makes it easier to control that racket. And especially if you have it in front of you, it's easy for the wrist to brush. So you can easily hit hard and keep on brushing. The more you move your hand to the side, the less your wrist is gonna be able to brush that ball. The more you move it to the side, it's gonna become weaker and weaker for him. Backhand, sorry. And the last one is Federer. See, there is a grip, almost the same thing, right in front of him. So that just tells you that he has a good angle between the racket and the arm, a good turn facing sideways, and you see his counterbalance arm. He lets that racket go when he's all the way to his left pocket. All right. Okay, guys. I hope you like it. I hope it helps. And I'll see you next time. Thank you.